So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about managing a StatCrew archive data in a 64-bit world. For those who don't know me, my name is Chris Sabato. I'm the Assistant Athletic Director for Media at Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. I'm also the chair of CoSIDA's New Media Committee. Now, when I talk about managing the data, I'm not really going to talk about using StatCrew or NCAA Live Stats or any of those things. I'm really talking about the data itself. And as we're in this 64-bit world, running StatCrew as everyone knows, has become increasingly difficult. And for us, we're actually not using StatCrew for any in-game scoring, but we still continue to use it for season reports and totals and things like that. As great as NCAA Live Stats is, there's just some things it hasn't caught up to yet. And so we need to continue using StatCrew for those types of things, which means we continue to have to access it via 32-bit computers, and we need to manage and make sure that data is safe. And now this is how we do things. There are obviously multiple ways to do all kinds of things, and we've done this for many years, probably over a decade, and it works for us. And the key for me in this whole thing is making sure that the data for that StatCrew data is both accessible and safe. And so what we've done is we've taken that data and we separate it from StatCrew. It's making sure that the data is separate from the program itself. And I know a lot of old school SIDs, they will have their sport and season folders right in the StatCrew program directory. And we want to get those out and we want to have those separate so that the data is separate from the program. And the way we do it is we store that data on a university-provided network storage device. And so we have a shared network drive that we can put our data on. And that does two things for us. One, it makes the data more easily accessible. I can access it from my computer, our SID can access it from his computer. It's easily accessible regardless of device. And number two, it's backed up. Because it's on the university's server, they're backing their servers up nightly and therefore our data nightly. And so if something goes wrong, we can work with our IT people to get previous versions of that data back. So one of the other complicated things that everybody has been working through in the last 5-6 years is that we need a 32-bit computer to access, to run the StatCrew programs. And the way we do it is we have specific StatCrew computers. I know some people use virtual machines for this kind of thing. For us, it's just easier. It's easier for us. It's easier for IT people if we just have a specific 32-bit computer that we use to access StatCrew. And prior to this year, we had a laptop, a handful of 32-bit laptops that we would use for statting various events. But one of the things I don't want to have to do is drag out a laptop every time I want to access the stat reports for a sport. And so what we have is we actually have a desktop. It's an old desktop, just like we have old laptops. All our 32-bit computers are hand-me-downs, sometimes 3 times over. They've been all over the university, and they're basically on their way out the door, and they send it to us because these old computers work great for StatCrew and StatCrew only. And so we have this old desktop that we have that's just sitting on the floor in the corner, plugged into the wall of the SID office. It doesn't have a monitor. I don't even know if it may have a keyboard and mouse, but really all it is a computer plugged into the network. That's all it is. And then from any of our computers, we can remote into that computer and access StatCrew. And so let me show you how we do that. So I'm going to remote desktop into that computer. And so from my desktop computer, which is a 64-bit computer, I'm using remote desktop software to remote into that little desktop computer that's sitting on the floor of the office. And now I have access to a 32-bit computer, and I can run all my StatCrew programs. So as I said, we have a network share drive. And so here's our stats share drive. And here are all our folders. And inside each one of those folders is a year. And this should look familiar. Each of you, I'm sure, has a ton of these. That you got your year, you got your career, one for each sport. And as I said, these are on a network drive. They're not specific to this computer. And so if this computer dies, which it may because it's old, we don't lose anything. We just replace the computer, reinstall StatCrew. All our stat archives are still in the same spot. They're still accessible, and everything is backed up. And so, it's as simple as we're in basketball. I can go to, game reports, and I can change my directory. I'm in 2019. Let's just hop out of there. Maybe we'll go to men's basketball. And, 18, 19, click OK. Games list, there's all my games. And so you can see there's my directory. I've got that network drive mapped to the S. So on S, we've got all our folders and all our stat stuff. And as I said before, the data is separate from the program. And so it's safe and it's secure and it's accessible because it's on that network drive. And we're accessing it from this remote desktop. And it makes it pretty easy for us to continue doing this StatCrew stuff, the StatCrew archives and whatnot, moving forward. Obviously, a virtual machine on your actual computer is an option, and for those who are traveling a lot, who are traveling with your teams, that may be a better option. But for the most part, we don't travel with our teams. We're not doing any statting on the road, and for the most part, we're not doing any StatCrew stuff at games. It's all after the fact in compiling season histories and season stats and stuff like that. So when we get back into the office. So for us, this makes perfect sense. It's a super easy way. We just drag out an old computer, have our IT throw Windows 10 32-bit on that computer, install StatCrew, and away we go. And again, because the data is separate from the software, we're able to just replace that computer as needed. And kind of unrelated to this, or somewhat related, if you use StatCrew for tennis and golf, those programs actually can work on 32-bit software. And so for those, those can work on 64-bit software. So I can install my StatCrew tennis and golf programs on my desktop, and then I can remotely access them because the data is on a shared network drive. And so I can access them from the remote desktop, or I can do it from my own personal desktop. And it's all because the data is separate and it's easily accessible. So that's just kind of quick how we handle our StatCrew data and how we keep it safe and accessible. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions.